Hey guys, so today I'm just going to make a quick video going through 3 ways that you can push past the fat loss plateau. So for many people these days with gyms being closed and a lot of us understandably putting on that bit more weight, and if you're taking action to prevent or improve that by sticking to say a good diet or exercise routine, it can obviously be fairly frustrating not seeing those, the hard work reflected in your results. So here I'm just going to go through 3 quick ways that you can push past the fat loss plateau and that you can apply and hopefully help you continue making progress towards your fat loss goals. So the first thing you want to look at is your training. So with training, you obviously want to make sure that your body and muscles are being worked enough so that they receive the right amount of necessary stress that your body needs to use, obviously, food and energy to repair those muscles, and that'll help facilitate the fat loss process. So typically when I'm working with clients who have full access to the gym, it's obviously quite easy to switch up their training by using different equipment, exercises, training styles, progressive overload, and so on and so forth. However, considering a lot you'll be working from home with limited to no equipment, it can be that bit more difficult to cause the necessary stimulation required for that. But that said, it's not impossible. So what to look at here is increasing the intensity of your workouts and your exercise if and where possible. So to give you an examples of what that could look like, imagine a typical training routine for just bodyweight workouts. I'll provide one here in the video just to give you an idea of what it'd look like. And here's your typical bodyweight session. We'll say there's different parameters you can play around with here. So you make the workout more intense by adding in extra sets on each exercise, a couple more reps, maybe 3 to 4 on each different set, and possibly adding in any weight you can use as resistance at home. So say, it doesn't necessarily need to be a weight, weight plates or anything that you find in the gym. It can be anything you find at home that can add that bit more weight and make it harder on your muscles to work. Now, with that said, there's no need to go crazy with this side of things. It's obviously important to recognize that your body is only able to handle so much intensity and volume before that stress on the body and muscles becomes, from beneficial to detrimental. So here we can look at things like adding in finishers to your workouts instead of adding, more reps and sets and that. And what this can look like is once you completed your resistance training part of your workout, you can then look at adding in maybe a 10 to 20 minute high intensity finisher to keep your heart rate elevated and keep working your body in that fat burning zone. So to give you an example of what this can look like, it can be any HIIT workout you've tried before that lasts maybe 10 to 20 minutes at Plateau, where you try high intervals of working at a high pace, followed by a short rest recovery period of working at a lower pace. And this could be extra, it could be all that extra bit of a stimulation that your body needs to push past that fat loss plateau. Now finally, once you complete all this, depending on your level of fitness and ability, you may be able for more. So this really depends on the person. Here you can look at how you can add in maybe some low to moderate intensity exercise or cardio at the end of your training session. And what this can look like is, maybe a 20 to 30 minute jog at a steady and moderate pace after your resistance and after your finisher. And that can be beneficial in having, already done your resistance training and finisher. Your body has used a lot of the immediate, say, energy that has available, such as your glucose and glycogen stores, which is mainly just the food that you've eaten either on the day or in the past 2 or 3 days. So here, by adding in that extra bit of cardio at the end, it can help force your body, use that and tap into the fat stores, we'll say, as the energy source, and thus helping you push through that fat loss plateau. Now, all that said, guys, please be aware that the volume of this might not be suitable for everyone. It is a lot of volume if you add in everything I said, so depending on your level of fitness and ability, I'd advise, say, starting out slow with, get your resistance training out of the way and then maybe some light cardio after, and work your way up by gradually, including more work and volume until you reach this level that you can add in everything. You don't necessarily need to add in everything anyway, because chances are probably a lot of you'll get great results from only applying, say, some of the advice here. So don't go harder on yourself than you need to and risk, setbacks or injury. That'll obviously put you back way behind on your goals. So just take it at your pace and find out bit by bit why you're able for more and more over time, and the results will come. Now guys, so after training, the next thing you can look at switching up for pushing through a fat loss plateau is your diet and nutrition. Now I want to make clear that as a coach, I'm very much in support of flexible dieting, and I find with each client, that's probably the best way to get and including the foods and meals that they genuinely enjoy, because it supports their goals sustainably in a healthy and active lifestyle, and it also helps to make them feel happier in themselves and not restricted by strict diet parameters, as they'll likely keep them up then for the long term, and they'll then maintain the healthy lifestyle habits and results they gained from the time we've worked together. So with that said, I'm of course very aware that applying more strict diet parameters should only really ever be applied in the short term and to achieve a certain outcome or result. So contextualizing that and putting towards, say, fat loss plateaus, here you can tweak and manipulate your diet for maybe, a 1 or 2 week period to work towards pushing past that plateau. So assuming that you already have your calories under control, in that you're consistently eating in a calorie deficit of about 300 to 500 calories below maintenance, Usually that's the range that'll work for most people. The first thing you want to try then after that is dropping your carbohydrate intake. So kind of brings me back to the energy systems that I was mentioning earlier, in that your glucose and glycogen stores, they're the carbs stored from your in your body, say from the meals you've eaten on the day and in the past 2 or 3 days, with your fat stores being the third and last energy source. So here, cutting down on your carbs can help your body tap into the fat stores faster, especially when you combine this with exercise. Now here it's important to mention that carbs are essentially energy, and if you do cut them out, you're likely going to feel a bit of more, sluggish and slow than usual while doing this. That said, it can affect everyone differently. I personally feel very sluggish because I work very well off carbs, we'll say. But this method I've applied with clients before, and some of them actually feel great from upping their fats and dropping their carbs. So it really depends on the person and which energy source your body metabolizes better and works better off of. So I'm simply just mentioning this as a possible side effect that you might notice that you're more sluggish and slow, and to recognize that that's probably due to the carbs dropping. Now, when you do drop your carbs, it's important to recognize that you're cutting out an important source of energy. So here you have to have your nutrition on point as much as possible. So general parameters, I'd say, in having your protein intake at about 1 gram per pound of body weight, and eating about 3 to 5 portions of leafy green vegetables every day, and then having fats take up the rest of your calories. So finally, if you're supplementing anything, make sure to keep on top of that too. So here, keeping your carb intake at about, we'll say 30 to 50 grams or less each day will usually do the trick, and you can use like apps like, say, MyFitnessPal or that to ensure that you're keeping in and around that parameters. Now, that all said, I'd like to mention that you should only really do this if you hit a wall and feel applying, strict diet parameters is absolutely necessary for you to continue making progress. I wouldn't really advise it just for the sake of doing it, as you probably, can tell from listening to this all. It's a lot involved in that, and it of course places a lot of stress on your body and your mind to perform. So don't just do this for the sake of trying it, especially if you're already, achieving decent results with less restriction. Keep going that way, and you should only really applying this, be applying the method maybe maximum 2 weeks, as it often isn't really sustainable for the long term for a lot of people, and for a lot of people actually only 1 week could be enough to get where you want. So don't unnecessarily stress or strain your body in the process, and fat loss, it's not a race, so making the lifestyle changes that support that over the long term are a lot more sustainable and enjoyable than any short term gains out of doing something more extreme like this. And the last thing I want to talk about today is your caffeine. So caffeine is of course a hugely effective stimulant that millions, if not billions, of people use every day, and you've no doubt experienced some of the benefits it offers yourself before. And applying some of these benefits along with scientific knowledge, say, and research backing it, I'll explain how caffeine can actually help in pushing past your fat loss plateaus. So the first thing is caffeine actually increases glycolysis in the body, and what this means is it helps free fat from the cells. So combining this with your training is not only going to allow you to help use your fat source or your fat stores as an energy source, but now considering you're already applying the method of a low carb diet as well for a week or two, your body is actually going to benefit from this all the more, as the two obviously work synergistically in enabling your body to tap into its fat stores for energy. And obviously, speaking more practically, if you think of some of the benefits of caffeine that it already gives you, in that it suppresses hunger and appetite and reduces tiredness and fatigue, this will obviously help you in keeping, the low carb diet up for those 1 to 2 weeks, along with giving you that extra push to power through your workouts. Now the dosage for everyone is kind of individual to the person. It really depends on how much caffeine affects you. But usually lies in about, say, 200 to 400 milligrams daily. So for me personally, I'm quite sensitive to caffeine generally, so the lower end of that does me fairly fine. But if you kind of work well off caffeine, feel free to add more to the higher end of that dosage, and it'll probably help you more. Now again, cutting back on carbs, I only advise doing this for the short term when you're trying to push past your fat loss plateaus, say, and then begin to pull back on your caffeine intake once that cycle of 1 to 2 weeks is done. And yeah, I think that's the top 3 tips anyway of pushing past your fat loss plateau. And thanks for watching and listening, guys. I hope you get some value out of this and being able to apply those methods to your own process and keep you going towards the right direction in your fat loss goals. And if you have any questions or anything, just message me, comment below. And yeah, thanks again for watching, guys.